The rain has stopped at Stonington High School, and the girls are on the pitch ready for the ECC final in girls soccer. The Stonington High School Bears, the #1 seed, and the #3 seed Waterford Lancers, about to kick it off here on the final, and you're watching it all live on Game Day on theday.com. Of course, Game Day brought to you by the Byrnes Agency. Like Game Day, the Byrnes Agency is always local and live. We focus on local community, and you'll always get a live person on the phone. So remember, you buy better at Byrnes. And Waterford Dental Health, voted the #1 best dental practice 6 years in a row by the day's Best of the Best Reader's Choice Awards. Casey O'Neill along with Colin Delaney, the coach, and down on the sidelines, the sports doctor roaming around as we present to you the second game of the evening. The Stonington Bear girls won the field hockey final, beating East Lyme, and now tonight here in the nightcap, the Bears girls soccer team 9-1-1 on the year will take on the Waterford Lancers 8-2-1, playing great soccer off of a shutout PK win over Bacon Academy, previously undefeated. So Colin, probably the best team all year against the team playing as well as anybody right now here in the final.
Yeah, really looking forward to this matchup today, Casey. Waterford coming to this match, winning their last 5 straight matches, and Stonington as well, winning their last 5 straight matches. So, like you mentioned, the best team throughout the regular season, and in this postseason, playing against a team that's probably playing some of the best soccer of the season in Waterford.
Yeah, big PK win over Bacon Academy, previously undefeated. Waterford playing so very well right now, really coming into their own. We saw them with a big win over East Lyme. They followed that up with wins over NFA and again, as we mentioned, Bacon Academy. Stonington has been pretty much unblemished all year. Their only loss was to Bacon Academy, 2-1, but they did tie this Waterford team. So this Waterford team knows it could stand in there with this Stonington team and play. So not only does Waterford come in with the confidence of playing their best soccer, but they also know they match up well here with the Bears.
Yeah, 2 regular season matches, 1 tie and a loss, for Waterford, but very close games, 1-1 and then 1-0. So really, you kind of throw those things out the window a little bit when you get in this postseason play, this, ECC soccer experience here, and really it could be anyone's match. Interesting to see, what Waterford does from the beginning here. They're very, fast starting team typically, very physical team typically, so it'd be interesting to see how, that stacks up against this good Stonington team.
And one of the things to look on is a young Waterford defense against some star power and some seniors. The Bears are probably the most senior-laden team we've come across, and they're led, of course, by superstar player. Doesn't get any better than Vanessa Benjamin, the senior. She is an electric player. She's from an elite soccer family. Her father was an elite soccer player. Her brother's an elite soccer player, and she is a soccer star. And that's something Waterford didn't face and hasn't faced, is someone of her caliber. That young defense is going to have to know where she is at all times.
Yeah, for sure. She's very quick in the ball, very technical. You mentioned the great pedigree of family, with the father and the son playing at U-Heart at the moment. So certainly someone to keep the track on from a defensive standpoint from Waterford.
Waterford in the bright white and blue shorts. Love the Waterford uniforms. They are easy to see, easy to read. They stand out. I love the white and blue of Waterford. Stonington in the home brown. And the throw-in on the sideline from Ivy Goodman, right in front of us. And out of bounds it'll go. So, we saw Waterford recently. I was impressed with them defensively. They shut out East Lyme. If you look at their scores over down the stretch, they have not given up goals. Their scores have been 2-0, 4-0, 1-0, and then the PK win. So they haven't given up a goal in 4 games.
Yeah, there's certainly that kind of, bend but don't break kind of defense. I thought that in that East Lyme game, that East Lyme had the lion's share of the possession, but just couldn't find a way to break through that back line. They might be a little bit on the younger end, but they're a pretty good physical presence.
Lepresto, the keeper for Stonington, with the kick, and now it's on the feet of Benjamin. One thing also, too, is Waterford has stuck with the goalie split. Maya Ram gets the start, the senior, but Mackenzie Gregory has played the second half of games, and she stood up big when Ram was out against Bacon Academy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a situation where you don't see very often, splitting, time on halves all season long. But Coach Gilly is very fortunate to have 2 quality keepers, and he stuck with it, and it's worked out great for him all season.
And now next year, he's going to roll in with Gregory, having gotten plenty of time. If she had been on the bench behind Ram, who's a fabulous keeper, she doesn't get that experience. Next year now he's going to have two senior keepers with Katie Hawkins as the other, but he's going to have a senior keeper ready to just step right in next year.
Yeah, you can't really take the place of that game experience. Those game reps are more valuable than anything else in the world. You can have the best team in the planet in terms of a practice standpoint, but those game reps are so pivotal.
So the rain has stopped, which I think is a big factor, because we saw in the field hockey game how the rain was definitely affecting play. The sticks got slick, the ball was slick, but this has actually turned out, other than being a little chilly, wind is minimal, and for the players on the field, I think this is probably as close to ideal soccer weather as you're going to get.
Yeah, these fields drain so fast. It's really good to have these turf fields in this area of the state here for sure. And these fields are generally rated to drop like 10 inches of rain an hour, which we didn't get today. So certainly it'll be a little bit wet, but in general, it should be good conditions for soccer today.
Waterford will have the throw on the near sideline. Morelli will set it in, and Lee plays it back, and Morelli will try to clear, but it goes out of bounds, and we'll get a throw in. So there was a deflection, and it'll be a white throw.
I think what you might see so far, Casey, and just kind of knowing what Stonington brings to the table and what we've seen of Waterford this year, is you might see a pretty controlled style of offense from Stonington's standpoint, looking to break through, and then probably a situation where Waterford, although they might not want to, is going to play a little bit more direct to try to get through this kind of possession that and pressure that Stonington brings to the table.
Nice ball playing in the middle, some skill. Waterford steps in, that's Gates. Stonington will intercept, play it back, and work the middle of the field. Gregg steps in and just takes it away, and she is such a physical presence.
Yeah, she really is. Playing in the middle of the park like that is just a huge benefit for this Waterford team, and it has been all season long.
There's Morelli with a big hit and a nice settle by Hoinski. Out to the outside. O'Keefe, and Stonington will play the far sideline. I can see already, though, Stonington has an idea. It's pretty clear their transition game. They go east-west. They're very lateral, and they're very controlled, as you said. They're going, I don't think we've seen a ball past maybe 10 yards. Everything is to somebody's foot. Everything is on the ground. Definitely a plan, an entire team strategy of how they play.
Yeah, and that's always been, Coach Solomon's approach. She's got plenty of experience, in her own right, playing at PC in the past and coaching various teams over the years. So she understands what she's doing for sure, and definitely you can see it in the style of play of this team. Very, technically sound, trying to find those short passes. A lot of good movement off the ball by Stonington. Everyone's constantly working, so really you can see that from the start. And right now I think Waterford is still trying to get their momentum and their chemistry going here, trying to find some of that rhythm.
Lee plays it back to Podeswa, and she'll tip it to the outside. That goes off of Waterford and off a Stonington player, so Waterford will have the throw.
Well, like you mentioned earlier, the physical presence of, size and speed of Podeswa, of the Gregg, of Gerard, they have those kind of players that just have that, never quit attitude and just find ways to win. And sometimes it's less about your technical ability and sometimes your heart and soul.
And I love that play right there. Anytime I see a defender play it back to their keeper calmly, it's always tells me that that's a defense that talks, and it's a defense that has a lot of confidence in how they play.
Well, and it's a credit to the goalkeeper as well, because a lot of times goalkeepers at certain levels don't have that technical ability to have the confidence to play with their feet. But when you have that goalkeeper who has that technical ability, now you have an 11th field player.
That's right.
Your number's up all game.
O'Keefe down the far sideline. And I'm going to echo that from having confidence in your keeper, and certainly the Presto is a senior keeper. That you saw Stonington, right? It really prevents some of those long balls that go over the top. If you have confidence as a defender that all you got to do is get to it first, and you can just play it back to your keeper, it allows the keeper to hold their line a little bit more, allows the defense to press up a little bit more. We've seen a lot of the teams over the past couple weeks really trying to rely on that 40-yard through ball, and having a veteran keeper like that who's so comfortable using her feet has got to be a huge advantage.
Well, it also allows your team to stay higher. So if you're at the 35-yard line with a Waterford player on your back and you're facing your keeper, you knock that ball back 30 yards. Now you can stay where you're at. They can possess it and keep everybody forward versus you got to trace all the way back now, stretch out your entire shape.
That's a great point, Colin, and that's something that I've certainly learned so much about in the last year or two is how much of an offense and how much of what you do offensively can start from your keeper and can start from your back line, what you're comfortable doing. That's a part of soccer that I had never really paid a lot of attention to. I was just so used to the keepers fielding it, letting everyone go up and punting it. And we just don't see that nearly as much anymore because, like you said, every punt's a 50-50. And so we're seeing so much more control out of the keepers, whether it's throwing the ball, rolling the ball, using their feet, but so much more than the old school sort of catch it, wave everybody up, and then punt it.
Yeah, long ball soccer is bringing soccer back 30, 40 years. It's really evolved to where we play this style of soccer, which is more technical based, more possession style based of soccer, and can't say enough about that.
A nice job. Pedeswa seals off, and she's going to get a whistle on her benefit. That's a nice job by Amelia Pedeswa. She stepped in, took the angle, got her body shielded in front of Constantine, and got the whistle.
She's come a long way. I mean, she's always been a good athlete, but she's really learning the nuances of soccer and how to play in that position even at a young age.
Much like her father, we talked about, it's tough when you're good at multiple sports because, like her father, we talked about being, was a really good soccer player, but never considered himself a soccer player. He was a baseball player that played soccer, and like he said, he didn't devote nearly the time to soccer that he did to baseball. Well, Amelia's in the same spot. She's good at multiple sports. Benjamin low corner, and a nice job by Ram. Ball's in front, and Ram falls on it. Nicely done.
Ram showing no signs of that nagging injury from that kept her out of that last game, which is great to see. Glad to see that senior to get a chance to play in her last game of her senior year.
It also shows you, by the way, how Benjamin doesn't need much in order to get a dangerous ball into the box, because she was on, everyone thought she was going to maybe cross that ball, and instead she hit a ball in a perfect spot that forced Ram off her line.
We often talk about that, Casey. The elite players always find a way to get touches on that ball, always find a way to be in the right place at the right time. Luck has nothing to do with it. It's all about field vision and soccer IQ.
What I really like about a player like Benjamin, and you see it in every sport, right? Sometimes there are players who are flashy and they draw your eye almost to they need to show you how skilled they are. She is just floating along in the rhythm of the game, patient, and then the second there's anything that she can make a play on like that, play gets made. And I really like that. So she's not hogging the ball. I think of that famous scene in the movie Victory where Pele says, I get the ball, I go to this goal. That's not, she doesn't need to do that. She floats. She knows where her space is. She gets the ball, and when she does, she makes a definitive move, and something very good comes from it. And I really like that in a player.
Well, she's the epitome of a team player. Could she do all those things? Absolutely. Does she need to do those things? No, and their team is better for it. I've always said if everyone does their job really effectively, we'll do really well as a team. Or if one person does their job, more than they should or too effectively, it takes everybody else off the ball. And certainly with her playing in the middle of the park like that, she has to be one who understands when to keep it and when to give away.
AJ Jimenez for Waterford tries to put it in the middle. A nice job defensively. Stonington stepping through, and now Benjamin will look. Hard through ball, and it goes. That's a nice ball. A little bit too much for Constantine, but I like the idea.
It's a nice mix, though, because for the most part, you've seen a lot of 5-yard, 10-yard, 15-yard passes, but a lot of these, Bears players have the presence of mind to see, okay, if I have a player who his numbers up on one side, I can find that hole, I'm going to give it, which kind of puts Waterford a little bit off balance a little bit. If you play the same way all game long, it allows them to kind of keep their shape.
Benjamin with the steal, takes a shot, lets it rip, and it just goes wide. Vanessa Benjamin that time, she stole it at about 35 yards out, put on the jets, and got off a shot. And I think we talked plenty about how much I like that as I love it when I played, but I love it as a soccer fan. I love shots on goal from about 25 yards out, because I think that some of the best soccer happens off of those rebounds with people crashing. It's always fun.
It's just really important that when that happens that we don't, grab the popcorn and watch the play. We need to kind of get involved there and make sure we crash the goal, because you never know, especially on a slick day like today, if that ball pops out somehow, hits a post, you get a second chance opportunity. Really important that all those brown shirts crash that goal.
Absolutely, got to keep. That's one of the things that we've talked about. Players, those, especially the ones who just have that soccer savvy, that know how to score. They always seem to crash, right? They always seem to know that where that weak side is going to be. The weak side is always where the gold is found.
I would have loved to if she could have got her foot wrapped around that ball and hit it to that far post, because that could be a floater to that far post. It's very hard for a keeper to get. At the same time, it could be a post ball, it could be a deflection. And I love those blue collar goals. I used to love those as a player. Someone has a great opportunity, put the ball in the frame, and you can tap that thing away because everyone else is kind of sleeping, and you hustle your butt in there.
Stonington's starting to turn it up a little bit, keeping the ball mostly in their end. Benjamin had that one bounce up off her hand, so it'll turn it over to Waterford. But the wind is starting to pick up a little bit too. So right now, Stonington is with the wind, which is it's not substantial. But if you look over at the flag on the over the basketball courts on the far side of the field, you can see the wind is definitely pushing the flag in Stonington's direction.
That was one of the first times in probably the last 5 to 7 minutes here that you really saw Waterford get a ball into that end past the 20-yard line. But we talked about this the last game against East Lyme. If they keep on bypassing the midfield and don't try to find those connections, it'd be very hard for those two forwards to match up against those 4 or 5 Bears in the back to have an opportunity to keep the ball under possession and try to find a ball in the frame.
Yeah, and I see Waterford's style. We saw it against East Lyme as well. You see the 4 defenders there. They're gonna play that back line with those 4 midfielders. They're gonna be defensive-minded. They're content running, a couple of players running Gates, running Jimenez. They're content running a couple of players north and south, but for the most part, they really like to sag back. They're gonna play defense on Stonington. And I do like that they have Abramowitz up as well, but you can see right now that they're 8 in the defensive zone.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really important that Abramowitz and Jimenez stay connected on the attack, because if they're going to sit 2 up in that spot there, they can't be 20, 25 yards apart. They have to be in a situation where ball in, who's winning the second ball? Because you can't have one player win the first ball and the second ball and try to get anything going on the attack.
Deflected off of Waterford, it'll be a Stonington throw.
And really they need to be active right here. So as soon as Waterford gains possession, what are the 2 forwards doing to find a spot, whether it's finding a slot on the sideline, on the weak side, whether it's checking back to find a hole and receive it to allow the overlapping run to occur. Something needs to happen where they're trying to check to the ball and create those opportunities. Like right there, for an example. So the outside back steps forward and receives that ball. That can be a Waterford forward. That could be Abramowitz, it could be Jimenez. Try to win that ball and then allow the outside midfielders and outside backs to join the attack and build from there.
I've always loved those diagonal runs when the forward's in the middle of the field and the ball comes into the midfield and the forward makes that nice because everyone thinks of that straight through ball. I like that hard diagonal so the midfielder can put it out. Then you got the cross, you've got an angle, it changes fields a little bit. I'm always a big fan of that, and that's a great point that you make about Abramowitz and Jimenez. They have to be connected, right? Because right now, if you look at the shape they have right now, Abramowitz is in no man's land, right? So right now, this second, they've made the decision to go, 9 on the defensive end here.
And it's okay that Abramowitz is stretching a little bit because it keeps the defenders honest here, because if they can play a ball into Jimenez, all right, then she can make a run to this near side here and build something off that. But the problem is if they play into Abramowitz without Jimenez, she's all by herself with 3 or 4 Bears on her back, and that's going to be hard to keep that ball as that target forward.
Mass substitutions in by Waterford right now. They just sent five subs in. I can't remember the time I've seen 5 subs go into the game like that. So I think what's happened too is with teams being banged up, and Waterford certainly is among them, I think it's gotten other people opportunities to play, and so now you're seeing maybe a little bit more of roster depth than they may have had otherwise.
Yeah, we certainly didn't see that last game at all. We saw some subs here and there, but for the most part, nothing like we saw.
Watch it. Benjamin turned, had a shot, went off a Waterford defender, and that's going to be a corner on the far side for Stonington. But that was a dangerous ball because you see already her mentality is if she gets it within 20 yards, she's going to turn and fire.
Absolutely.
Far corner for Stonington. It's going to get taken by Sabadini, it looks like. Rachel Sabadini, another New London name. Back post, weak side, and along to the side of the net, be a goal kick for Waterford.
it didn't materialize into much, but if you watch the body shape of some of those Stonington players there, Benjamin, for example, they're not making a blind run before the ball is kicked. They're kind of seeing where the ball's going to go, and they hunt it down. One of the best ball winners in women's soccer history is Michelle Akers, and she could win a ball no matter where it was over any man or woman that I think on the planet during her heyday. And it wasn't because she made these blind runs. She was a ball hunter, and she found a way to find that ball, and it was all about her soccer IQ and ability just to get to the right spot when that ball was served.
I read a great story, and I wish I could remember the player's name, but there was one of the women's soccer players said that she had a conversation with Carl Malone, and they talked about body position going for a ball. And I remember the article. It was mentioned in Sports Illustrated where they were talking about, here's a nice through ball in front, and coming through is Podeswa to bang it out of bounds and clean it up. It'll be a corner kick for Stonington. But they were talking about when the ball's in the air, how do you use your body position? How do you read your opponent, and sort of how you go and win those balls? And I thought it was just a fascinating example of cross-sport conversation about, that's really when this ball is in the air, that's really what it's about, right? It's understanding how you're going to get yourself in a position to win it. Sabadini will take the corner near side. Low line drive in front, chipped out on it, and nice clear from the Lancers.
Stonington really pouring it on right now. There, number of shots in, around, on the frame in the last 4 or 5 minutes here. Waterford's got to find a way to connect some passes here and find some rhythm to get the ball forward, because they can't just keep on dumping the ball forward, because the back line of Stonington's going to knock it right back in.
Sports Doctor, you're with the coach.
Coach, you guys seem to be pressing play here early in the first half.
Yeah, the girls definitely have settled in a little bit and are starting playing a little bit more confidence. Still have to work on a little bit of things, but they're overall settling in and hopefully dominating play, and we'll get one soon.
Yeah, you're happy with the scoring opportunities you're creating for yourself?
So far, yeah, we're definitely keeping the play in our final third, so that's a much less stressful for me as a coach.
All right, Coach, good luck. Yeah, a little hot spot down here, Casey. Ball almost got me. Did you see that?
Yeah, but I thought your agility was notable, Sports Doctor.
My back was to the ball, Casey.
Like a cat.
Colin, you got to agree with Coach. It's all about creating opportunities, and right now Stonington's doing a better job than Waterford.
Yeah, and once again, if Waterford doesn't find a way to get the ball to their back end, one of these opportunities is going to lead to a goal, and I think the floodgates could open at that point.
Benjamin settled it, turned it around, changes fields. A nice, smart play, resetting the offense now. Ball comes in, chipped out by Waterford. I think defensively, Waterford's doing a fine job, but like you said, they're not stringing right here, from this mid, right here. They got to string together, and see that ball right there that just allows Stonington to step in and intercept it. That ball's got to be on a foot. 2-3 passes transitional.
Yeah, it's got to be on the floor too. Very hard ball in the air to control, because that ball's in the air. You got to take a touch just to bring it down, and then once you bring it down, now you're in a situation where you're pressed. You got someone on your back. The anxiety sets in, and then it could be a turnover.
Waterford doing a good job just keeping the ball and getting it into their midfield. I think they're doing a great job with that. I'd like to see the midfield, like you said, I'd like to see them string together some stuff from the midfield.
Well, if they can get the ball to Greg or to one of the midfielders here who has a good presence on the ball, good ability to hold the ball up when they can, it might allow for some more players to get involved in the attack here.
Goodman will take the throw for Stonington. Ivy Goodman, another of the veteran players here. She's a junior, but she's been playing varsity soccer.
I just think right now the momentum is favoring Stonington, and right now they're just kind of having their way with the possession, and they're kind of mixing it in with long balls and balls on the ground. So Waterford has a hard time kind of figuring out what's the best way to defend it, because it's happening in two different ways.
Here, stay on your feet. Greg went to the ground, and Stonington will have the throw. Goodman throws it in. But Greg is to say she's a physical player isn't exactly. It's not just that she's physical. She has great body control. She knows how what to do with her body. So she's not just brute force. She's in on the ball every time.
Yeah, 100%. But like Coach Gilly just mentioned, stay on your feet, because they can't afford to play a man down while she's getting back up off the ground.
Benjamin, and that's just that's some nice footwork right there. Now the centering, she tried to put a cross there and it went wide out of bounds. It'll be a goal kick, but again, speed to the ball, stopping on one foot, switching feet to the other side. I mean, that's Sports Doctor, you got the coach?
You guys are doing a great job on defense, but how do you make that transition from defense to offense and get something going on the other side?
You know, they do a great job, but once they lose the ball, they pressure it right away. You know, so we've really struggled with just getting our foot on the ball and trying to just play a little bit and get the ball to feet. That's better right there, so that's a good sign. I think once we can settle down, you know, I think hopefully we can create some opportunities going forward. So, ironically, right now, this is our best play.
All right.
You got to stay right here now.
All right. There you go, Casey. I'm somebody's good luck charm, so I'm the coach's.
Yeah, this was a much better transition by Waterford. 5 different players touched the ball through the middle of the field, and that's really good, battling on the far side. And they're going to get rewarded here as it stays in bounds. Nice changing the field. But he's right. I mean, I was much, much better. But his explanation was a good one, that as soon as Stonington, as soon as they lose possession, they attack right away to get the possession back.
But there's just too many balls coming out of the back end right now from Waterford in the air. You know, this is a nice situation where they're able to keep possession, but in general, it's just been a lot of just, hopeful 50-50s.
Technically a shot on goal by Gates, but really that was more of a just put it on the goal to, sort of, I don't know, finish what was a good, good transition. It wasn't really a shot as much as it was getting one on there.
Now, similar to a Stonington pass back.
Beautiful job by Greg. Goodman on the outside. And out of bounds, it'll be a Waterford throw. Wind starting to whip now, picking it up, chilling it down a little bit.
And Waterford's very capable of playing this style of soccer, but right now I just think, as Coach Gilly mentioned, they're getting pressed so much on that ball that they can't get any rhythm going. I often tell the boys when I coach them that, Barcelona averages about 5 or 6 seconds time of lost possession to get it back. They have to do a better job of getting that ball back when they lose possession, but it's not going to happen if they're knocking long balls into their front 1 or 2 players with 4 Bears surrounding them.
Goodman will have the throw in for Stonington on the near sideline. So here's in that dangerous part of the field. Offense often comes from here. She puts it right onto Benjamin's feet. Benjamin turns, and she's going to end up getting rewarded with a corner kick out of it.
Another opportunity where just kind of watch the body shape of some of these Stonington players, and hopefully they're not going to make me look like a liar here, but they're going to hopefully show that body shape we talked about and really try to attack that ball. But once again, credit to Waterford, they got some big players back there. The height is to their advantage in this situation.
Sabadini's going to take the corner. Stonington setting up mostly far post. Sabadini approaches. Low line drive. Greg puts a foot on it. And Waterford trying to clear. Can't quite do it. Still in front. There's Benjamin with a step. Passes to her teammate, and it sails 5. So she got it off to Detweiler, and Detweiler had an opportunity, but she hit it, but it was a deflection, so it looks like it'll remain another corner.
Greg is kind of the glue right now, keeping that ship together in the back end. She has been really involved in almost every single defensive play coming their way from a Stonington attack.
Sabadini again. This time high, far, back post, and a goal! Off the chest, in for the goal. That was a beautiful ball by Sabadini. It went to the far post, and the Bears jump up on top, 1-0. Amelia Karen spreads it in all the way from her back line, from the defensive end, gets the chest on it, puts it in the back of the net, 1-0 Bears.
Yeah, I can't say enough about that. Coming out of the back end, making that back post run on the weak side, really unmarked for the most part, and finding a way to put the back of the goal. Didn't have to do too much. Took it right off her chest, put it in the back of the goal, and this could be a situation, if Waterford's not careful, this could open the floodgates, because now in a tournament-style game, they need to play very direct, because if they go down 2 goals, you never know what's going to happen.
Well, I was going to say, we had talked about players who can score and then the players who set them up, right? So we talked about a player like Alex Ard, and we had talked about how he has such the ability to put the ball in so many different places. The temptation is to use him as a playmaker, but he really emerged as someone who can score. And so you ask yourself, someone like Benjamin, who's uber skilled, should she be taking the corner, or is she better off? But you see Sabadini able to serve that ball in perfect position, allowing the Benjamins, the Karens, to run on and put themselves in scoring position.
Stop the clock, please.
And that's something you figure out in training sessions. You figure out, okay, who is our best service person? Is it someone who's not our leading goal scorer who can put in the mix, on those service pieces and put our leading goal scorer in a better position to score? Or are we better off putting that, great touch on the outside, the likes of a Tyler Fidrich in the past, or, Jameson McGowan, just speaking from a Stonington standpoint. So you have to kind of figure that out. You want to make sure that you have good service but a good finisher. And it looks like Stonington has the ability to kind of put, Benjamin in the mix and have someone, put that ball in a dangerous spot for her.
Yeah, I mean, Sabadini showed a lot of versatility. She's hit corners from both sides. She's shown far post with some loft. She's shown hard near post. She's shown that she's got a couple of different corners in off that foot, and that's huge, right? Because that one went there. The previous one was low to the middle. That one soft to the far post, and it allowed. It wasn't so high that Karen had to go up and get it. It was right at her chest, and she was just able to position herself. And that's, by the way, I can't, I'll let you talk about it. I can't emphasize what a hard ball that is to put in the net, what Karen did, using her chest and not trying to head it or kick it, but to be comfortable enough to body position that into the net.
It really comes down to, practice and repetitions, because, oftentimes, like you mentioned, players are trying to do what they've been taught their whole life. Kick it in the goal, head it in the goal. But when you find a ball that's kind of a tweener, right, between the head, between the foot, and you take it off the, the abdomen, you take it off the chest, take it off the shoulder, and then avoid a handball at the same time. It's not easy to do. So credit to her for having the presence of mind to kind of stay rigid there, find a way to put that ball in the back of the net, by any means necessary.
Yeah, I mean, senior Amelia Karen right there, and I think that, well, again, what most impressed me was she just ran right on. She timed it, ran right on, so that it was as if her body, because it's hard off the chest if your momentum's not going that way. So she ran it into the goal. I thought it was really well done.
No, for sure. I mean, like I said, it's a credit to her and obviously her experience to do those kinds of things. Seeing a little more energy right now from Waterford, which is the good thing. Remember, these guys, played two very tight games in the regular season. So although it's a tournament-style game and really anything goes, I would expect Waterford to, find a way to find some energy here, put the ball on the floor more, and hopefully find some more attacking opportunities.
Already using the middle of the field a little better. Now down the sideline it goes. Running on is Amelia Allen. We saw her previously score the goal that Waterford bought with, so she's definitely a spark plug off the bench.
Absolutely. And I like that ball there, from Greg down the sideline. That's a ball you can run onto versus the ball you're playing in the middle of the park there. Middle of the park, you have to deal with, two center backs and possibly an outside back.
Yeah.
If you find a ball down the line that these girls can run onto, you have some better opportunities.
So I'm not going to take Lily Morelli to task. She's too good a player. But what I'd like to, and if I were the coach, what I would tell her is, the ball gets played back to you like that, settle it. You don't have to try to one-time it, because that ball's in the air into the wind. It's not really helpful. Settle it. Either make I'd like to see the hard ball on the ground for, or a ball played, or switch it up again. But that sort of try to, one time it into the air just allows Stonington to get into a 50-50 situation.
Listen, Casey, we're 30 minutes into this match right now. The championship jitters should be all out. We should be in a situation now where players are playing more composed. And I always tell players, keep your head up. See the field. You're a much better player, much more informed, much more composed with your head up. If you're constantly playing down, you're reacting to everything. And reactions is what I'm looking for. Trying to be a little bit more proactive.
Oh, beautiful ball running on Benjamin, but Ram comes off her line. Nicely done.
And a little less trying to react to plays when you're playing under a lot of anxiety and stress.
Yeah, I mean, keeping the ball on your feet without your head looking at it is sort of like, what they start teaching you in first grade soccer. But for some players, it takes a long time when you start to get stressed, right? You revert back to what's comfortable. And same thing in basketball, players, when they start to get stressed, they revert back to their strong hand and looking at the ball and things like that. So it takes a lot of confidence and, like you said, the repetitions for a player to stay composed and use the skills that they've acquired. And like you said, we're almost 2/3 of the way through or 3/4 of the way through the first half. So time for the jitters to be gone.
Well, especially a ball like that into Amelia Allen right there. As that ball is coming to her, I will be coaching her. Check your weak side shoulder before the ball gets to you, so you know what you have. Am I turning when I receive it? Am I playing it negative into a Kendra Gregg? What am I doing with the ball? But if I'm not checking my shoulders, I'm not informed enough to know what to do with it next, and then it just becomes a reactionary thing.
So there you saw the wind really affect it. So Greg did a brilliant job with the slide tackle, stoned it, took the ball away, and she tried to play the long through ball to Abramowitz, but she just couldn't get it. She got air under it, and the wind just knocked it down. The better option, especially in this direction for Waterford, they've got to stay on the ground. And Greg now starting to assert herself physically. She's trying to do a little bit of everything out there, but gotta keep the ball on the ground. That's a great move by Constantine. And if you're gonna juke Greg, you got to be pretty good.
That was the Allen Iverson crossover we talked about last game. So certainly, you're going to see a situation if Greg doesn't find a way to get more people involved with the passing on the floor, she's going to be gassed before you know it.
And what a calm job by Karine Steno to just switch fields, turn it the other way, go east-west. I love players who play under composure at all times. It's such a nice thing. It's a nice thing to watch.
Well, it's, anxiety breeds anxiety, calm breeds calm. So when you have one of your players down the middle of the spine of the field and they receive the ball calmly, they deliver it, calmly to another player, it just creates that calm and that rhythm that you want to see from a team. If you're constantly knocking it long, it's, becomes this kind of foot race all the time, and it creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of extra stress.
Here's Benjamin. Nice job stepping through Waterford. It's Morelli. Nope, check that. That was Jordan Mativier.
Yeah, great little turn there by Benjamin to lay it back. And, once again, I think Benjamin is kind of the player that kind of exudes that calm amongst the team and distributes the ball well, shoots when she can, so you got to keep track of her. At the same time, she's got, great distribution to try to find the open person.
7 minutes and change here, 1-0 Stonington. Colin, we saw in the field hockey game that we saw earlier, Stonington won that game. They shut East Lyme out. In the previous game that we did last week, they shut East Lyme out. And so we've tracked 10 straight quarters that Stonington had shut East Lyme out. And we've talked about mentally just how it weighs on you to say, we just can't we just need the one goal to just, kind of free things up. If you're looking at Waterford, and they've struggled at times to score. And if you look at their games against Stonington, they've scored one goal, right? In the 2 games against Stonington, they've scored one goal, 1-1 and 1-0 were the 2 scores. Waterford knows they can do it, but at what point does it start just feeling like the weight of the world is on you? Like we'll never score a goal.
Yeah, I think if they can get out of this half 1-0, I think it'll give them some hope in the second half for sure. I think if they go down 2 in the last 6 minutes here, it's going to create some havoc and a little bit more of that direct play we talked about. But if you look at their goals for and goals against, they're fairly similar. You're looking at, Stonington's goals for, they're 31 in the season and 9 goals against, and you look at Waterford, there's 20 goals for and 5 goals against. So Waterford's been far more stingy, 5 to the 9, and Stonington scored maybe an extra 10 goals. So fairly similar ratios for the most part. But like you mentioned, when you look at these 2 head-to-head, they only have 1 goal against, or 1 goal for rather. So it is a interesting situation for them.
What I'm looking at is that Waterford had gone 4 straight games without giving up a goal, and Stonington has already scored 1. And in the last 2 games, Waterford has scored 1 goal in their last 2 games. So, defensively, which you've been rock solid, and you've already given up a goal, and you haven't scored a goal in 80 minutes of regulation. Now, you haven't scored a goal in almost 120 minutes of regulation. If I was Waterford, I'd start to ask myself, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's what they're doing wrong. I think it's just more just trying to find their rhythm again, because we've seen them play good soccer this season. And I think part of it is that because Stonington is being so surgical with their possession, it's taking them out of their rhythm. So credit to Stonington from that standpoint. But there needs to be a change that Coach Gilead brings in the second half, whether it's a shape change or it's, a personnel change in terms of positions. But they're not getting much, possession out of those target balls into the forwards. They got to try to find a way to build through the midfield.
Now, there is going to be one difference as we go into the second half. In the second half, Waterford will be going with the wind, which could potentially help that style that they're playing right now, could potentially help that. But I think regardless, your point is well taken. Until they start transitioning a little bit better through the midfield, it's not going to be, it's not going to be effective offense until they start doing that, because they haven't really had a real offensive look, and which means no corners, no set plays. they've just, had sort of one half shot on goal.
If you can't get the ball into the final third, it makes it very difficult to score. I mean, it doesn't take a road scholar to figure that out. But right now they really have one shot on goal, and it's more of a pass back to the keeper.
It was
lack of corner kicks, lack of restarts, and lack of presence in that final third. It becomes very difficult. Whereas Stonington's had 3 or 4 or 5 corner kicks, multiple shots in the frame, and a lot of possession in this final third. So it's a situation where they need to get the ball forward. Otherwise, it's going to be a situation where how many goals do we lose by?
That's right. Love that play from Goodman right there. Changes fields, gets it out to Steno, and now they're playing the other side of the field.
But knowing this Waterford side, they are certainly a resilient bunch, and they are not going to quit till that final whistle blows. So I would certainly believe to see a pretty energetic bunch, in the second half coming up.
Be interested to see what the coaches say at halftime. The messages are always fascinating to me. With Waterford, I think the message is clearly what you've just said, and you heard him say, Coach Gillia say it as well. More transition. Staying better connected. I think that's going to be key. I don't know that I would change much. If I was, I don't know that Coach Solomon's got much to change. I think they're just keep playing the way you're playing. I mean, you're dominating the game, and you're getting a lot of great looks.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to see a little more connected, not just on the attacking end, but if we can get the back end of Waterford to push a little bit higher and hold a higher line, it might allow for less stretching of the team and more cohesiveness to keep that ball under possession. Because as you see the ball gets played in to one of the forwards, whether it's Abramowitz or whoever it might be up top, the back four kind of sit where they are. They should be following their pass and squeezing the field to try to create some opportunities to work together.
I mean, just look at the passing of Stonington through the midfield. 4 different people touched it, and now you're getting a chance, and they're in the scoring opportunity again. Greg stepping in on Benjamin. But it's so nice to watch watch Stonington pass the ball through the midfield, and you watch Waterford, and it's, bang the ball in the air, and it's going to lose a possession for you.
Well, I just watched Greg play a beautiful ball under composure to the outside back, and then we ended up just knocking it long again. You're not going to win games or win the possession battle if you do that. They need to work off of each other and keep the ball on the floor, have some more combination play, have some more work where they're constantly working off the ball to create opportunities rather than just knocking it long. And I know Coach Gillia is not that kind of coach. He's a possession-style coach, great player in his own heyday, former All-American at Bristol Eastern, so he knows what he's doing. It's a situation where they've got to execute what the coach is asking to do.
Minute and change remaining here in half number 1. 1-0 Stonington on top of Waterford here in the girls soccer final of the ECC in what has been, I'm going to call it a pleasant and uplifting and, credit goes around that we're able to have these finals. There's no fans, right? There are no spectators allowed. The only people here are representatives of the team or the school. And thank you to the ECC and to Stonington for allowing us to be here. This is a definite. It's definitely a different atmosphere for the kids, right? No parents. And it was funny because I talked about that with yesterday playing with Skylar Bell of East Lyme, and I said, talked about the difference, and she said, I've never played without one of my parents being there. I always knew that there would be some comfort, when it was going on, and now there's just nobody there. And that's a good point. I mean, they're playing in front of nobody.
Yeah. Listen to Tiger Woods talking about how the Masters isn't quite as electric as it has been in recent years. You're hitting a great shot within 2 feet of the pin, and there's no applause.
That's right. And there we are at halftime. 1-0 Stonington on top here over the Waterford Lancers, and we'd like to let you know that Game Day is brought to you by the Byrnes Agency, in your neighborhood, taking care of your home, auto, business, and life insurance needs since 1932. At the Byrnes Agency, you're never going to get a voicemail, always a live person, so remember, you buy better at Byrnes. And by Waterford Dental Health, where your smile and your health are their top priority. Casey O'Neill along with Colin Delaney. We are at halftime. 1-0 Bears on a goal by Karen off of the corner from Sabadini. And Waterford, like we talked about, really not mounting much in the way of offense. Of course, this is the third of 4 and the second tonight of the ECC finals. Join us tomorrow. We'll be right back here for the ECC boys final which should be a great matchup between Stonington, the #1 seed, and a team that beat them, the Ledyard Colonels. And they've played, I think this is like the 17th time they've played this year. It feels like that anyway, but I do think it's the 3rd or 4th time they're going to be playing each other this year.
Yeah, so looking into that game, Stonington and Ledyard played 3 times this year. Ledyard losing all 3 of those, but once again, 2 very prolific offenses. I think you have a healthy Nick Washington now from Ledyard, who's been kind of banged up most of the season, so he's been kind of on a scoring streak lately. And then, of course, the likes of Billy DeCastro and Sam Montalto on the other end, facing up with, the Damon Pollards and of course, Nick Washington of the world. So it should be a great match tomorrow. Really looking forward to that one as well.
That's right. It was Fitch that Fitch that
yeah.
beat Stonington, because it was in the early part of the season where Fitch beat Stonington, Ledyard beat Fitch, and Stonington beat Ledyard. And we thought we might have a 3-team shootout, but then through injuries, COVID, and any number of other circumstances, Stonington really emerged as the favorite, and they've been playing great soccer. The defending state champions as well, they should be. Last night we had volleyball. Lyman Memorial, the defending state champion, was undefeated, not able to play in the tournament because of their school being remote. The Montville boys, exceptionally good soccer team, they're not able to do it as well. So these aren't championships in the truest sense of the word. They're finals. They are the teams who have made it through of the teams who are eligible to play. But, I think in each of these finals, we've seen the teams that were good all year have made it through. I mean, certainly these, Waterford and Waterford, Bacon, and Stonington were the 3 big teams in girls soccer, and here's 2 of them in the finals, and Bacon lost to Waterford, so that's why Waterford's here. Tomorrow, I think it was Stonington, and we were curious, who was it going to be? And that Ledyard-Waterford game really was the other 2 teams. Fitch was just kind of decimated by injuries. East Lyme never was able to put anything together. And so that Waterford-Ledyard game was going to be very interesting. I thought Waterford was playing such great soccer, but Ledyard has so much firepower. And like you said, when Washington's healthy, Washington and Pollard are such a dynamic duo. It might be the thing that can keep them in the game against Stonington, because, man, is Stonington good.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, it might be a game, Casey, that's 6-5. You never know. I don't know if the defenses on either side can contain some of the attacking players on both sides when they're healthy. I certainly hope it's not 6-5. I'd like to see a little bit of a lower scoring game, but certainly at the same time, 2 very prolific offenses going at it. It's going to come down to defense, and you're going to give probably an edge to Stonington's defense on that. Ledyard's still kind of a young defense in general, a little raw. But for the most part, I think it should be a great game.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you only in that I'd love to see it 6-5. From a broadcasting standpoint, that'd be fabulous. I think 6-5 would be great. What I think is interesting, there's the old adage, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. How hard is it to beat a team 4 times in a year? I mean, that's unheard of. You almost never. The only way it could happen under normal circumstances would be a same class of and you win twice in the regular season. You beat them in the tournament, ECC tournament, and then you play again in the postseason. But normally it can't happen because you don't ever play a team 4 times. Ledyard and Coach Glennie, they have been trying to crack this Stonington riddle all season long, and he has not felt particularly great about how they've played some of the time. So I think tomorrow, that's going to be the story tomorrow is, does that explosive Ledyard team show up tomorrow, and can Coach Glennie get his A effort from them? Because if Ledyard's offense shows up with their A effort, it could be interesting. And what would happen, what would happen if Ledyard jumped up 2-0 real quick?
Yeah, I think if that were to happen, I think you'd see, I don't think you'd see any anxiety on the part of Stonington. They're far too well coached, and they're far too experienced to do that. I think you're going to see a lot of energy, and you're going to see a lot of back and forth, kind of like that fast break in basketball. So, that would be very interesting to see for sure. But I wouldn't put it out of the realm of what's possible, because certainly Washington and Pollard and things of that nature can really have the pace and the ability to put balls in the back of the net. And certainly Stonington's been tested here and there, but not to the extent that Ledyard's been tested all season long.
Turning it back to this game, one of the most interesting aspects will be the goalie change. We'll talk more about that momentarily, but the sports doctor's down on the middle of the field. What do you got there, sports doctor?
Somewhere down in the middle. I got a soccer ball here that's going to go into goal, but no. Listen, on the Waterford side, Coach talks about he thinks the kids are a little bit defeated, and he had to remind them guys that we're only down 1-0. And the one thing he doesn't like what he sees is when Waterford gets the ball, they turn and face the pressure. So play away from the Stonington pressure. As far as the Stonington side, Coach, you can help me out with this. The kids say that Waterford is playing big ball soccer. So now they're switching fields, and now they've got the wind at their back a little bit. So they got to be heads up. But listen, Stonington's going to keep pushing, keep attacking, and every time Waterford gets the ball, there's going to be a Stonington player on it. So one team looking to attack, the other team looking to gain composure and pick up their spirits. It's only 1-0 game, fellas. And again, we talked about this. The first 5-10 minutes coming out of the locker room, or if this is the locker room, very important. Coach, what does big ball soccer mean?
Just referring to the long balls, playing
Yeah.
the big balls in soccer, very direct brand of soccer, and certainly it can be effective, but if they're playing very direct down one channel, it's very easy to defend. Ask any defender, a ball that's played across your body on an angle, far more difficult to defend and clear away than a ball right at you. So if Waterford's going to play that big ball soccer, they got to find a way to switch fields when they do it. However, I think if you ask Coach Gillia, he'd much rather have the ball on the floor for a bit and mix in those big balls whenever possible. And with the wind at their back, if they can find a way to switch fields and play that big diagonal ball, they might find some success.
Listen, if there's a 50-50 ball too right now, I don't know if you guys see it or not, but Stonington is winning all of them. They are, and then Coach Gillia said it. These guys are fast. Of course they're going to be on top of you when you gain possession. You have to be ready for it. So that's why he's talking about, don't play into the pressure. Don't give it up so quick once you get possession.
That's a great point as well, because we have seen that. We've seen them, especially on the midfield, when they've received the ball, they're turning and just going just directly forward. If they play that ball back to their defender, get possession and play it backwards, play it across, you're right. That's a great point. The coach and I talked about the big ball soccer, the sports doctor saying that, the wind should help Waterford as they switch halves. Stonington's going to have to be aware of where Waterford players are at all times. But the thing that's missing about that, and Coach brought it up and really cemented it when I heard Coach Gillia say it, is if they don't make transitional passes to the midfield, there is no big ball soccer. I mean, you're not going to be banging them from the 50-yard line. That's not going to get anything done. So in order for them to use this wind and get themselves in a position to try to hit one of those balls, they've got to do a better job. Staying. I love the term "staying connected." I mean, especially Abramowitz and Jimenez, they've got to stay connected.
Coach Solomon from Stonington also said about putting pressure on the Waterford backs. He said the Waterford backs are making mistakes when you guys put pressure on them. They kick balls out of bounds. They kind of, the turnovers and stuff. So let's keep the pressure on the Waterford backs. So, listen, Stonington is in attack mode. And, Casey, you said it too. They're a very, very good passing team. There's not a lot of waste when they have the ball. I
would say that, and I'll ask this question of Colin. So I'll ask two questions. The first is, I think we talked about the sort of young back line of Waterford who plays it in a very basic way, right? They're saying we're going to kick it out, we're going to clear it, and we're going to bang it, but we're just not going to give anything up. And that's been successful. They haven't given anything up. It was off the corner. This Stonington team, this girls team, is as good a passing team as I think I've seen this year, boys or girls, in either, on either side of it. I don't know that I've seen a team as when you see 6 and 7 players touch the ball before a shot goes on. How much better can you do?
Yeah, I think the keys to this second half for Stonington is simple. As the sports doctor mentioned, they got to press, the first touch of the back line, because they are prone to mistakes. And on that first touch, that ball bounces away 2, 3, 4, 5 yards. Now it's an opportunity where you can gain that and go towards the goal. It'll force some turnovers. And I think that the third point is to continue to play that two-touch soccer. And everyone's playing it, and everyone's moving off the ball. If you know as a team that we're going to play two-touch soccer, it forces everyone around you to be moving off the ball. Otherwise, you can't play two-touch soccer. You're going to play 7-touch, 8-touch soccer.
Casey, another thing for you, too?
Yeah.
It's getting cold down here.
It's cold. It is cold,
man.
It's cold up here.
It is cold, Chief. If you're asking me how the action is down here in the field and on the sidelines, chilly and rainy, miserable to cold. How's that?
Well, I had a really nice warm jacket that I made the mistake of sitting on in the first game, which is now soaking wet. So I'm a little chilly, but you know what? That's just what you got to do. Because I'd like to be running around like the kids are right now, but I'll take the weather the way it is. Let's go.
Some quick kudos to the guys here at Stonington High School too, and Peter and Connor and Carlos and Coach Casey. You were in your car, but we all had pizza in the concession stand at halftime.
I weighed my options of either going and sitting in the heated seats and or having the pizza. And the combination of my cold, older frame
Sure.
and my 60 pounds that I'm carrying that I don't need said heat over pizza.
I took the pizza, and Peter Wappy and Carlos did the same.
Well, if you've looked, you guys are all in far better shape than I am. I needed the heated seat more than I needed the pizza. But add to the mix one other thing about this second half that we mentioned, and we talked about it before the game, is that you're Maya Ram, you're a senior, you just played a fabulous first half, and you gave up the one goal, which was an impossible thing, and nothing you can do about that. And now you got Mackenzie Gregory, the junior, coming in. This is her half. This is the way they've done it all year. You're not going to break it now. So Ram is out. I think she's probably thrilled she was able to overcome the injury to play the first half at all. And now it's Mackenzie Gregory's turn.
Yeah, and this is something that Coach Gilly has done all season long, so it's nothing new. Gregory was fortunate enough to do a great job in goal last game to get, senior Maya Ram to this game to have the opportunity to play in her last, game of her senior season. But certainly, both keepers are great at their craft, and looking forward to see what Gregory brings to the table in this next half.
And there's immediately pressure being put on by the Bears. Nice run on the outside. Morelli. That's a much better ball already right there than we saw earlier. Morelli had been kind of giving up some of the long higher balls. That was a much nicer job keeping that ball low.
Yeah, if you keep that ball nice and low, it's just a better ball to hold on to as a team and keep that possession going. I still would like to see, and I know it's early in the second half, on those longer balls, can the back four just step with that pass and shrink the field by 10, 15 yards more, which gives more players the ability to join that attack and create that possession.
Absolutely, and I still think that you're 100% right. The weak side has to move up and get themselves into a diagonal area so they can receive a pass. Right now, as soon as Morelli is there's really only one player that she has. There's really only one player that's an option for her at that point. So there you go, right there, right? There's that cross the field. Now, but everyone come and help out, right? You and I are doing the same thing. Like, let's go.
I think they're so concerned on the Stonington counterattack that they're not willing to take that space. Get the outside backs forward, draw them off sides. They're going to join you. They can't be off sides because once Stonington gets the ball and they play it back in, they'll be off sides. So just worry less about the counterattack, worry more about keeping possession, getting it forward here, because it's 1-0 right now. You can't win this game with 0 goals.
It's counterintuitive to when you're playing a super aggressive offensive team, to move forward yourself,
right?
Because your temptation is to sag back and play defense. But like you said, if they're pushing up forward, it limits where can that defensive player go, because you'll get them off.
Yeah, it just completely shrinks the field. The field is not 120 by 80. It's how big your defender's allowed to be until the possession starts and they dribble past that line.
See the composure of Stonington now, right? They're playing it through the middle, switching the fields. Stino makes a little touch, Constantine, and it'll get rewarded with a throw-in.
And they're always checking their shoulder. You see, even as you dribble across the field, that she's looking, am I playing it here? Am I playing it down the line? They're trying to keep their options open. It's like a quarterback looking for the first read, the second read. They're trying to see what else they have as available options.
Nice job by DeVito, clears it out. We haven't said DeVito's name a lot because they haven't worked her side of the field much. It's been much more on Morelli. But DeVito is now marking up, and the throw-in will come from Sabatini. Nice settle. Now work it through the midfield. If you're Waterford,
I just wanted her to play that ball out the other side. I think she wanted to, but the ball got caught underneath their feet a little bit. But that's better. They're getting the idea. They're keeping the ball at their feet. Certainly Coach Gillia probably drove that home.
In front and cleared away by the Lancers. I think that was Pedezwa stepping through and knocking it out of bounds.
Yeah,
Sports Doctor, what do you got?
Coach, you're ringing the bells of the coach down here on the sidelines, because every time a girl gets the ball in front of her, she always says, what do you see? What do you see? Settle. So you're right. It's like a quarterback surveying, the receivers down there. These kids are sharp, man. They look for their teammates. They just don't throw the ball or kick the ball into a vacant spot.
There's next level soccer going on right here, which I really admire. And Colin hit it on the head, which is checking your shoulder, checking your weak side shoulder, seeing who's coming up on you, and Stonington's doing a brilliant job of that. They're making their next move before the ball comes to them, and their teammates are responding before we talked about you got to be in a place to help your teammate out before your teammate gets the ball. You know, you have to already be there. And Stonington seems to have a really nice understanding of where everyone's going to be. And some nice footwork from O'Keefe.
Yeah, my wife always makes fun of me. She says sometimes you use the same analogies and comparisons each time you do the broadcast, but it's chess versus checkers. I've said it a few times this season on different teams, but it really is.
Ripped shot, and the save made by Gregory. That was Sabadini that put it on goal, and Gregory was there. Well, unfortunately for you, your lovely wife, who you know I adore, has a bit of a competitive streak in her as well. And being the fine athlete and coach that she is, you're not getting off the hook. You're not getting off the hook when you come home. This is going to be, you're going to get the critique.
Absolutely, and you know what? Rightfully so. You know, and that's not the only thing she makes fun of me for sure. But you know, it's one of many things. But no, it's you know, she coached soccer for a long time, played Division I soccer herself. She knows what she's talking about. But
yeah,
just the analogies and things, she finds it funny.
Well, that's the thing is, you know, I adore my wife, but when I come home, you know, she asks me questions because she likes to learn certain things, and then she tells me the same thing. She's like, you know, you said this line over and over again. I don't know what it means, but you kept saying it over and over again. I think she's the one that said to me, you know, honey, you don't always have to say opportunity every time there's in the play. And I laughed. I said, have you been talking to Peter Wappy? Because he said the same thing to me. I'm always talking about opportunity. Well, your wife, you know, she's gonna drop that. She's gonna drop that. You know, I coached, I played, and let's elevate it up a little bit here.
Oh, for sure.
That's why you're so. That's why you're so good at this. I'm gonna tell Allison that she's responsible for it.
100%. You know, I like sleeping in the bed, not the couch.
Middle of the field, Waterford trying to do a better job. But that's a beautiful one touch right there. I just love that. Constantine she knew Benjamin was going to make the run, and she touched it to space. Waterford intercepts, but that just shows again, thinking ahead.
Still seeing much better play out of Waterford this half, though. They're really trying to put more emphasis on keeping the ball on the floor and finding each other instead of playing it long.
Constantine on the far sideline, and Gerard did a nice job sealing her off, but it will result in a corner kick, and this has been very dangerous territory for Waterford. Sabadini will take the corner on the far side. The last time we saw a corner was a goal.
You got to keep track of the outside backs pushing forward there, because once again, if you're not, that's a free runner. And as we saw that last goal, far post opportunity, puts the ball away. She's gonna, yep, there it is. It's like that late rush.
There's Constantine coming up. Sabadini, high, far post, weak side, head ball, and out of bounds it goes. But I'll tell you what, Sabadini can really put the ball. She puts that ball on that far post every time.
With pace.
Yes.
And that's the key. You know, you can float a ball in there, but it's very hard to put, you know, a lot of power behind it, put in the frame. A lot of pace in that ball, good accuracy, and those weak side service balls from a corner kick can be deadly, because even if it's not in the frame, now you're putting it back across the goal box, and that could be anyone.
So right here is where Waterford's got to keep coming this way. They keep playing it back into that Stonington pressure. Pedezwa, Benjamin takes it away. Benjamin gets a step, tries to cut back in the middle, and a nice job. Waterford clear.
Yeah, they're kind of getting stalled right around this 45-yard line here.
Trying to find Abramowitz.
Squeeze now. We want to squeeze the field here. Get everyone up. Get the backs over the half line. Get your outside backs forward here. Fill the space near the 35-yard line here in your attacking third.
Be a throw in on the far side. Abramowitz will take it for Waterford, and I think that's, to me, they're one pass away. So they're making the effort to string together in the midfield. It's one more pass. When the ball is coming from the far side to the midfield, they're still stuck working one half of the field. Make that one more weak side pass. Open up that whole far side of the field for you.
Yeah, less bouncing around and more on the floor to set up an opportunity for a shot.
We're going to get an offsides, I believe, as Greg ran on and just got there. No, it wasn't Greg. It was Abramowitz. Got there a step late, or a step early, as it were. She was a step early, got there ahead of the defender.
But see, we haven't seen, the goal kick yet, or in this case, a restart on the offside. So don't sit so far back. Find out where we're at and keep that field nice and tight. Keep it in your attacking half of the field.
Absolutely. Lepresto will approach, and you can see he plays the low ball. right? It's hard to get. You're not going to get it up in the wind on a day like today. Now here it is in the midfield transition. You play back, play across. To the outside it goes. There's a ball to the middle. Well done to Allen.
Morelli here, yep.
Put it right back in. Amelia Allen on her feet, and a nice job taking it away is Stino.
Yeah, great switch of play there. That opens things up a little bit. I mean, Morelli's all by herself on the far post in the 1v1, so why not give the opportunity on a switch? Find away from pressure. You know, Coach Gillian mentioned before, play the way you face, play away from pressure, find the opportunities here.
LaPresto does a nice job coming off her line, gets there first. But I agree with you here. They're push up. If she's going to punt this thing, do not let. They're all sitting back at midfield. She's not going to get this thing to midfield into the wind.
No, definitely not into the wind.
No, I mean about 30-yard line, 35-yard line.
Yep, you're going to be 15 yards short of that for the most part. Keep your backs a little higher, fill this space, and keep pushing the ball on the ground.
All right, see, I actually love that ball right there.
Yeah.
I love that ball. That's a diagonal ball into space. Let my fielder take it there. Turned out to be a little bit far, but that's the right idea.
But now pin it. The outside back steps, fills the space, keeps it nice and pinned, and now you might get a turnover, an opportunity to put the ball across the box or even get a shot out of it.
That's going to be a Stonington throw. Right idea, though. This is more in line with what we had talked about, also in line with what Coach had talked about. The idea being, using the again, Waterford, just too much room, too much space. I think that's part of the, they are playing like they're afraid of giving up the ball on the other side.
I want DeVito higher there. I want her to fill that space there and be the first defender and be, on a turnover, the first attacker.
A beautiful job by Amelia Pedezwa. She stepped through and got there ahead of the Stonington player, so she knocked it out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in on the far side, and Goodman will take that one.
Nice to see a little change of the tide, though. Waterford getting more attack opportunities, not more shots per se, but more presence in the final half, which is nice to see.
Yeah, because they can't give up a second goal, and they need to keep the pressure on offensively.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one of those games where, a 2-goal lead is going to be the most dangerous lead in soccer. When you are, maybe you have one shot to your credit all game long. I think a 2-goal lead would be pretty safe from a Stonington standpoint.
Yeah, I think also the reason I think a 2-goal lead is safe. And Pedezwa tries to get there first. Constantine does, but Pedezwa does a great job bodying her up and just turns and hits it out. That's a nice job by Pedezwa. I think the 2-0 lead is safe because Stonington's so good offensively that at any moment, you can, as Waterford tries to press, you can give up that third goal. And I do think 2-0 would be a little bit overwhelming as we're at 28 minutes. I think if it's 2-0 with under 20 minutes left, it's going to be a really tall task for Waterford.
Yeah, I think Stonington has the ability to be really clinical with that ball. If they're up 2-0, I can see them hold possession, 80% of the time as the clock ticks away.
Yeah, Coach Gillian.
You got the coach.
Coach, how do you guys kind of flip field position here and trying to create some offense?
Well, you know what? It comes down to basics. You have to control the ball, and we're just really struggling with that. It's they put a lot of pressure on the ball, so it makes it harder. Compared to some of the other games we've been playing, where you have that extra half a second ball, we don't have that today. Yeah, guys, go ahead. So it's just composure on the ball, and I think if we could just kind of keep settling down a little bit, maybe we just get that one chance.
Yeah, all right, Coach.
At this point, hopefully get that one chance and tie it up.
All right, good luck the rest of the way, Coach. Thank you.
So we got a player down, just a collision. I think she just got a knee right into the stomach, which is on a night like tonight, where it's cold and raw like this. That's the one thing that you just get hit in there. You get hit in the stomach or the ribs, and it just knocks you out. So we're gonna give her a chance to recoup, and Waterford's gonna take the opportunity to put some subs into the game, and Stonington will settle.
Coaching in a game like this, and sometimes you think you're playing 11 against 17 sometimes. The team is that much faster or that much quicker to the ball. Does it seem like on the other end, like if you're Waterford right now, if you're playing 11 against say 18, 19 kids?
It tends to get frustrating for sure.
Yeah.
I've certainly been on my share of games as a coach where we were not the better team, and there's been times where you feel like you're playing against an army. But Coach Gillian made a great point. All it takes is one here. If they can find a way to get a counterattack and pop one in here, it's a whole new ball game. And in a championship game like this, sometimes all it takes, and then the winds can change, so to speak, and put them in a better position to maybe pull one out.
Is Stonington that much quicker, or are they playing just a much crisper style of game right now?
I'm not sure if they're that much quicker. I think the crisper is a much better term for it. I think they're just moving off the ball, and they're so active. I think it's probably a good term. They're very active off the ball, and so it makes it appear that they're a lot faster because they're always finding the open space. Where I think a lot of times Waterford is just kind of reacting and playing balls into space they're running onto. It's a lot of good movement off the ball by the Stonington side.
It was Emma Morelli, and she came off the field under her own power, no issues. Just like we said, she's got the wind knocked out of her, and she's good. She's off on the sideline. Waterford restart, and we have a throw in. DeVito will pass up the throw and give it up to Podeswa. I got to tell you, Amelia Podeswa is built like an athlete. She's a freshman, and she's built like she is, look at her. I think she looks like she's a senior. And that is I have an 8th grader, and that's, I'm looking at her, and I'm going, she looks like she's a senior already in terms of just the athleticism.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can use your 8th grade as a good example, Casey. He's
All right, fair enough.
Bigger, taller, faster than you.
That's true. Well, two of those things aren't hard to be, but yeah, he is. See, all right, here's Allen. Space, goes to the outside. I like the idea, a little too much steam on it. She was trying to get it to Dickinson, and we know that's another name we haven't said very much, which tells you they have not been working this outside of the field, because Dickinson is a very good player and has not had many chances with the ball.
No, she's certainly a very good player. Bryn certainly has a good head for the game, and they haven't used the channels nearly enough. It's been a lot of those big balls over the top here and haven't used their flanks. But if they can find Bryn on that outside and she can hook a ball across, that's going to create some opportunities.
So I'm going to go on record right now. I'm just going to say that I'm assuming he's home watching right now. But if my good friend Chris Podeswa is home watching, I think your daughter's faster than you are. That's what I don't know. She just looked like a deer running there in the open field.
2020 or Chris Podeswa?
Oh no, now. I'm not going to judge based on not the high school, not my shortstop. But back then it was stolen base king. But no, right now I meant right now. He looked good the other day, but I don't know. She was very, very fast.
Casey,
I'm going to check my text because
you're going out on a limb. The kid's 17 years old and a high school athlete. How old is Chris? 50 something?
Chris is my age.
Okay.
Thank you. Not 50 yet.
All right. Okay.
Easy. So not all of us are on the other side of 50 sports, Doctor. Middle of the field. Waterford. That's a nice ball.
But here's the step. All right, get up and step. Outside backs, join the attack and join your outside midfielders. Create some space, because really DeVito doesn't need to be sitting back that far right now. She's not defending anybody. Yeah, she's going to be, either the cover or the balance in that defensive shape, but she doesn't need to be back there all the time.
You can see Waterford, clearly they're well coached and they respond to their coach, because that's the thing. You can be the best coach in the world as far as your knowledge, but if you can't get the kids to buy into what you're trying to teach them, and what good is it? They've clearly made the concerted effort to follow their coach's concept. You can see them doing it. I think it's just, when you're playing a team as skilled as Stonington, who attacks and attacks and attacks, it's hard to sort of make those plays. It's like facing a really good pitcher. It's hard to get 3 hits in an inning against a pitcher to score a run. So that's why you see teams try to steal bases and do things to try to eke across a run, because it's hard to get 3 hits off of a good pitcher. Well, it's hard to make 3 good passes against Stonington to get yourself into an offensive spot, because they're so good at on the ball and they play such great defense and they mark up really well. So I appreciate Waterford's. You could see it. They're trying to do it, but that's a tall task.
Yeah, certainly, it's not for lack of buy-in. Chris Gillia knows what he's doing, of course, and certainly so does, Jen Solomon, both, really great coaches in their own regard. I think it comes down to what Chris mentioned earlier. It's just doing the basics better, and I think also comes down to experience. Stonington's starting 6 seniors to Waterford's 3 seniors. Of the 6 seniors, 5 of them are field players, so really it's a situation where I think experience is part of it, coaching's part of it, but, I think it just comes down to executing the basics.
Down in the corner, looking for. He was trying to get it to Gregory on a cut. To Benjamin on a cut, and Greg stepped in and knocked it out of bounds. And there's going to be that corner on the far side. Sabadini will take it.
Another dangerous chance for Stonington. You know, they've had great corner set pieces all game long, scoring on one of them in the first half, and certainly they're throwing a lot of numbers in the box, and that kind of delayed approach. They're kind of sitting back, and then you see them charge and find the spot.
Well, there's Amelia Karen, 17. She's standing at 10-yard line, 8-yard line of the football field. She's the one that made the run last time and was able to score the one goal we've seen in this game. So here's Sabadini.
And there's Constantine as well.
Curl in the middle and just over the top of Benjamin. That was meant for a head ball, and Benjamin just couldn't quite get there. It sailed a little bit tall. Now Waterford, you got to push out. You got to push out now. The ball's there. You can't let it go right back in again.
Well, I think the push out is part of the tactical thing that needs to get better, but in general, we're sitting here about halfway through the second half here. You're down a goal. You need to push out because you need to get more numbers forward here, because you're not going to win this game unless you get that field, you know, smaller and more numbers in the attacking half of the field. You're just not.
And right now, see, the Waterford defense is just kind of stuck. They're stuck back there right now. They gotta find a transition here. There's a hard ball put on goal, nicely done, but Gregory, no problem, goes down to a knee.
Very collected too. I mean, that's not an easy ball to save clean all the time. That ball is on the surface, bouncing a few times, collects it very well. Those kind of balls, if you don't collect it well, that's a second chance opportunity.
There's a breakaway, opportunity in front, and a sliding save made by LaPresto. Allison Ciosi, the freshman, was one-on-one. She had the chance. It was a bouncing ball that went over the Stonington defender, but a great job by LaPresto.
And that might be the kind of counterattack player that Waterford needs to score. You know, you're in your back end off of a save from Gregory, get that ball forward and find an opportunity here. You know, that's the kind of play that they need here to put this ball, tie it up here.
One of the single loneliest plays in sports is a keeper coming off their line to make the decision of, can I get there before they get there? Because if you're wrong, it's a goal, and you just look, you look like you got burned. That is such a lonely decision when you're sitting there. It's just so easy. You can always sit back, right? It's so easy to sit back, but she didn't do that. She came off that line hard and got there ahead of Ciosi. That's a brilliant job by LaPresto.
Oh, outstanding job by LaPresto. Your line play as a keeper is such an underrated thing. You know, do I stay home or do I come out? And really, 9 times out of 10, you probably want to come out and cut off that angle. You sit back in that line, you have all this space on the side. She came out and did a great job of taking that ball away, and probably an easy tap in for a goal.
Sports Doctor with the coach.
Yeah, coach, your goalie came off the line and maybe made the play of the game right there.
She definitely did. If she didn't come off, I think that girl took another touch and could have a shot. So she disrupted the play big time, so it's huge for us.
Talk about your play, though, in the second half up to here. You're still up 1-0. You like what you see out of your team?
I like what I'm seeing out of the team. We're keeping better possession than we did in the first half. We're just not creating enough, and we're not linking enough in the final third. But I think the more we keep the ball as the game kind of progresses, I think we'll get some more chances.
All right, Coach, thank you. Casey?
We are halfway through the second half of the game, so we are in our final quarter of the game here. 1-0 Stonington. Podeswa will throw it in for the Lancers.
I think Coach Solomon makes a great point there. They're certainly keeping a good deal of possession in this half here, but they aren't creating those chances they had in the first half. You haven't heard Benjamin's name as much as you did in the first half. You haven't heard as much of those shots. You know, it's been a situation where they're controlling possession, but not really, capitalizing on attacking opportunities. Part of that might be Waterford and their energy, but also part of it might be the mentality of Stonington in the back of their mind. We're up a goal here, we're kind of controlling things, we have the kind of game in hand, but that all changes in a flash if Waterford gets that big counterattack.
Yeah, that's a great point, but it's also, we had talked about why 2-0 would be monumental. It's because they are maintaining possession, and they are, like you said, they'll take the ball and they'll take the air out of it. You're not going to have another chance to score a goal. That's why that play was so big. 1-1. Obviously is a lot different, but right now that 1-goal lead doesn't feel insurmountable. I think Waterford feels like they're playing really good right now. So that's why Coach says we need to get some offense out of all this possession, because even if they don't score goals, they just need to put some more shots on Gregory. Otherwise, they can't try to sit on this lead with 18 minutes left.
But I think it's a credit to Waterford that they're doing a much better job of playing the way they're facing, a much better job keeping the ball on the floor. They have been moving that ball east to west much more. So I think you're seeing that, open up some holes in the back end from a Stonington standpoint. So I think it's a little bit of both here, but certainly, it's nice to see with 18 minutes to go, a lot of soccer left. It really could go either way.
Benjamin with the ball on the far side for Stonington. So dangerous, keeping it on her feet, trying to make a move into the corner, and she will lose it out of bounds as she was walking the tightrope down there, and it'll be a Waterford throw. Just gonna say that officially, I'm cold. Just gonna say that out loud now. Every time the wind blows, I'm a little chilly. Sports Doctor's nice and warm because he had pizza, but I chose the car warmer, and I'm the better man for it.
But are you?
No, I'm just trying to make myself feel better right now, really. Now you got to switch. There's a chance again. With that ball right there on the diagonal, but the other way. But other side, Benjamin now with the ball. That's a good through ball, but Pedez was there for Waterford.
I'd like to see Pedez maybe hook that ball with the left foot. I'm sure, Coach Pedez will, thinking the same thing back in his days, the Montville High School varsity coach. As a player comes across that side, develop that left foot. You can hook it down the field rather than give a short throw in. It could maybe be a long throw in or even a ball that you play into, one of your attacking player's feet with your left foot.
So it will be a throw in on the far sideline. Stonington up 1-0. Just under 17 minutes remaining here in the finals of the girls soccer on the ECC on a beautiful Friday the 13th here at Stonington High School. On the line, so that's going to result in a goal kick for Waterford.
You mentioned in the first half, the lack of fans, and and certainly Stonington a great host, great job by the game day crew here to afford the opportunity for players and players and families throughout the conference to watch this game. But in this crazy situation we're in, there really are no losers in this game. The opportunity to play, a championship soccer match, during a pandemic is just worth its weight in gold right now.
On the run, Jimenez, who's another name we have. It's funny because we haven't called AJ's name much either, which just tells you where the ball's been. That Waterford hasn't really had a lot of possession. Stonington has maintained possession because those offensive players, Jimenez and Dickinson, we just haven't said their names a lot because they haven't had those opportunities. Stonington taking them away early.
Yeah, it almost becomes like 11v9 because those two forwards are not as involved in the play because they're having a hard time connecting.
Stonington with a chance. And that ball is going to get deflected, and I think we're going to get a corner far sideline for Stonington, and yes, we are. And Sabadini will get a chance to put another bullet onto the back post and see what that can happen. 1-0 here on a goal in the first half from Amelia Karen off of the corner from Sabadini. So Rachel Sabadini, the senior, will head on to the far sideline for the corner. Keep your eyes, as always, on
Vanessa
Benjamin.
Constantine sitting back a little further here. Maybe with the 1-goal lead, they want to avoid that counterattack, so leaving one extra person back.
Low line drive in front. Gregory couldn't get to it, but a beautiful job of Greg, and she clears it out. Gregory, again, she came off the line and she got blocked by another player. She couldn't get to the ball. It was her path to the ball was denied. So that was a great job by Greg to be able to just clear.
And very fortunate that ball didn't enter the back of the net. In that scrum right there, it could be an own goal, it could go off anybody. Those are balls that often find their way to the back of the net. Very fortunate to not go down 2-0.
Yeah, that was another great ball by Sabadini. That's like the fourth different kind of ball that we've seen, right? We've seen the soft ball to the far post, the bullet to the far post. That time, that was a low line drive right towards the middle, almost like front third. That was really well. I mean, I like the versatility.
Well, and that's something that you do on the training grounds. It's really important to not only mix your attack under possession, but can you mix your attack, on set pieces? Do you have the short corner? Do you have the low-driven ball on the near post? All kinds of things like that. A lot of set pieces can occur on those corners.
Nice job keeping it in. Stonington running onto it. Pedezwa. I love that play. There it is. All that room now. All the room on the far side. All there from Morelli. Long ball from Morelli and a nice step through. Stino stepped in, or was it Hoinski that came through?
Yeah, I don't mind that long ball there because you have a lot of numbers forward there and you're kind of, forcing the defenders run towards their own goal. I don't mind that one. It's those long balls out of the back that just kind of create that stall.
Well, the Presto thought about it coming in now. The back's got to step up here. They're back. There's too much space Too much empty space right there.
Yeah, if DeVito steps there, and I'm not trying to pick on her, she's just on my side of the field right now, but if she steps into that space there, she could become a person they play back to, then she can whip a ball into that far post and create some opportunities.
Under 13 minutes here now. Hard throw, Podeswa, almost a shot off the foot of Jimenez, but couldn't get there, and a misfire will result in a throw for Stonington. But you can see Podeswa is getting more involved offensively. She's the one they're sending up from her back position, so they're comfortable with her moving up into the offensive side.
Yeah, I think she's got a really strong throw, and that's part of it. And certainly just her presence is impressive. And that might be a component to why DeVito's maybe sitting a little bit more, because they don't want to leave themselves exposed. But really, there was not really any big presence from Stonington in their back end, so why not throw one extra player up? You should always be +1. You need to be +2, especially when you're down a goal.
Now, I'm going to give credit. I've been picking on her a little bit, being a little bit hard on Lily Morelli. That time, she settled it, turned, saw her teammate, made a great diagonal pass, and allowed Ciosi to run on and create a Waterford throw. So, like that one, there's DeVito putting it in. Dangerous ball. And, oh, just a step slow, almost getting there. Abramowitz was close, but Lepresto got there first.
Yeah, just short of getting a ball in the air, so that ball hits the ground first. An opportunity for Waterford. They can sneak in there to get a touch on it first, but couldn't quite get there. But those balls can be very, very dangerous. A ball that they can't save clean in the air.
Well, you know, you mentioned what you wanted DeVito to do. She did it on the next play. Again, I think she might have an earpiece. Maybe she's listening. But clearly, you know, the message was received, because that time she stepped up and did exactly what you said, received it, and put it right back into play.
Yeah, and very dangerous. She's got a great foot, a great, knack for the game, and certainly very technically sound. So use her as a weapon, not just a defensive tool piece.
Ooh, you can hear the sounds of the game right now. It is cold, and that ball is like a rock. DeVito will step up. Long ball to the middle. Benjamin steps in with a foot. That's a nice play.
Yeah, we'd like to see the outside backs like DeVito do just that. Can you whip some balls in? Because once again, we're sitting here 10 minutes to play here. You have to play a little bit more direct, but don't play a straight direct ball. Play a big diagonal ball, and it's going to cause the defenders to have a harder time keeping that ball in front of them.
I mean, she's a very good keeper, but the one thing that Lepresto's not, she's not exceptionally big. She's not a tall, lanky keeper. She's a little more compact. So if you can get that ball up in the air, that far post, that sort of diagonal over the top might be very effective. Also, we saw the bouncing ball can be very dangerous for a keeper as well.
Well, especially on turf. On a turf field, it's gonna bound a little bit higher off that first touch there. So certainly on turf, you got to be careful of that ball hitting the turf, in the air without a touch from a player.
You can hear the coach yelling, "Stay more connected, stay more connected." So, you high-end coaches, and obviously, have the handbook of all the proper terminology. What was your favorite go-to? So what was your favorite? If I were listening to a Colin Delaney sideline, what would I have heard you say the most?
Well, to be honest with you, it might not be a soccer term, but I tell the boys a lot of times, to get on their horse. We want to, move together, and can I get on your horse? And sometimes my boys need a faster horse, but in general, you might hear that a lot out of me. But, stay connected is definitely one that Coach Gillia has been preaching, because he's right. If they're not connected, they can't build that attack through possession.
I think, unfortunately, I was riding a mule most of my time. Middle of the field, and DeVito came through like a wrecking ball, and just bodies flew, and she won that one.
And I tell you what, Casey, that's one of the big reasons why I think they've been able to keep Stonington at bay with only one goal. It's just that back line in general is just a very physical presence and really smart around the ball. They know when to step, they won't know when to drop for the most part in terms of that defensive pressure. And DeVito does not back down. She is fearless.
Yep, DeVito, Podeswa, Morelli. I mean, they are just getting to absolutely everything. And then Nicole Lee is just, she's not small. She looks it compared to some of these girls in the back. But that line of Morelli and DeVito and Podeswa and Lee with Greg helping, that's a big physical line. And you're right. I think the smaller, quicker Stonington team has tried to counter that with their quickness, but Waterford's physicality has certainly made an impact.
And one name we haven't mentioned often tonight is Gerard. I mean, she is someone who is just tenacious. physical presence in her own right, but someone who's constantly working, trying to help her teammates, trying to build the attack. So really, the back four coupled with that midfield is a pretty hard out.
There's Podeswa traveling over to the other side, takes it off her midsection. That's gonna leave a mark for tomorrow. But she gets it out of bounds and out it goes. And again, I know Dad's listening right now, and there was no doubt that she's not going down on a knee. He's at home going, no. I won't give away all our trade secrets, but her father was one of the toughest kids I've ever played with. We went through a lot of tough times playing for New London Legion and playing 70 games in a summer in all kinds of weather and stuff. And he and I would sit back there, and I would say that between him and Robbie Simone, they threatened my life more than any two people, and just to keep me focused and motivated. So his kids play the game like that as well. I mean, they are tough as nails, and that seems to be something that this elite group of players, the toughness is really stands out. These girls are beating each other senseless. Far post just too high. It sailed a little bit high and will be headed out of bounds. I think we're going to get a Waterford throw. The toughness of these girls is remarkable to me. I mean, they're physical, they're banging each other, and it's cold, the ball hurts, but no quarter here.
Yeah, for sure. I think that old school mentality, that blue collar, work ethic, rub some dirt on it, get back up and play, is not lost on these girls for sure. They're taking balls off their midsection, off their face, off their legs, they're getting cleated, getting spiked. It's certainly a more physical game than probably the average person realizes.
Absolutely. Constantine puts it onto the foot of O'Keefe. And there's this possession that we were talking about before, right? Just kind of calmly maintaining it, plays it back. Now the long ball by Waterford. Now that's a beautiful step in.
Yeah, there's that tenacity of Amy Gerard there, just really forcing that ball. That girl cannot turn, nor does she want to turn into Amy there. Forces that player to play it back to the back line of Stonington and keeps the ball in the attacking third of the field.
That's a nice, strong play by Karen. Stonington defensively starting to clamp down a little bit. We saw those offensive, Waterford runs were starting to increase. Now it's been all Stonington now turning it over again. Certainly putting the pressure here on Waterford. Stonington trying to get another one through. Dangerous spot and out of bounds. Sports Doctor, you have some breaking news.
Yeah, we got some breaking news considering tomorrow night's game with the alleged Colonels and the Stonington Bears here. It's going to be canceled. It looks like a couple of the Stonington coaches have been quarantined for COVID. So it looks like as of right now, is the official word from the Stonington ED, there will be no game tomorrow.
All right, thank you, Sports Doctor. We'll give you more information about that as we get it. For now, 1-0 Stonington girls. Corner kick, Sabadini on the far side here with under 5 minutes remaining. Low line drive to the middle. Benjamin tries to get a foot on it, can't, and it's cleared out by Waterford. That's a nice job there. Benjamin had a chance, but Waterford pushes forward.
Yeah, nice job by Greg there, putting her body in front of that, because if Benjamin gets a foot on that, that's going to be a ball in the frame, if not a ball in the back of the net. A lot of traffic there. Would have been a very difficult save for Gregory there.
4.5 minutes remaining here in your girls' soccer final. They'll have Podeswa come up and take the throw. Watch her try to sail this thing down the sideline. There it goes. Well done. Dickinson runs on.
That's a big, strong throw there, and that's a weapon that they're going to use for years to come.
Yeah, a few more years of seeing that, you're going to get her involved in that. All those amounts basically to a corner kick from anything within the 10-15.
Wonder if Dad will maybe teach her the flip throw.
She doesn't look like the flip throw type. She looks like she just might huck, might just chuck it to the goal. Nice play. Here's where Waterford has to be careful as they try to, put this extra pressure on. Under 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Waterford up in the ante here. Now DeVito will throw it in. Lee moving forward.
So important to throw that ball to her foot. That ball can't bounce, can't take up the chest. You have to maintain that possession right away. Try to find her foot on that throw. Especially with 3 minutes to play.
as we tick down with 3 minutes, it's time to start thinking about who our Waterford Dental Health Player of the Game is going to be. Of course, as always, you want to tune in later to Facebook and Twitter and see the Sports Doctor's interview with the Waterford Dental Health Player of the Game and find out what our Smile Start Here Play of the Game is. A couple of different candidates, obviously. I think the Play of the Game is one of two right now. I can think of, obviously, we're not going to tell you, but you're going to have to tune in. The Player of the Game, though, is an interesting choice. I have a unique thought on who my Player of the Game might be, and as we head off the air, I'll see if you guys concur. But for now, we're 2.5 minutes away from the end of this one. Stonington on top 1-0 and trying to kind of just milk this clock and hold on to this lead. If they can get possession into the offensive end here, that'll be big. Waterford just sending everything back into play. Karen putting it back. Constantine now throws it in the middle, battling with O'Keefe. O'Keefe loses it, and we're going to get a whistle. And there's the play that Stonington needs, because very quickly O'Keefe's going to come up on this one, take the time, let it milk down into 2. And if they can get this thing into an offensive chance where they can just put it on the off, time is going to tick down and not give Waterford much left.
Yeah, for sure. I think they have the ability to kind of control this possession and keep it for a couple minutes here for sure. It's going to be very difficult for Waterford to get any opportunities on the frame. But certainly I think Waterford's very hungry. They've put a lot more numbers forward here. I wouldn't count them out just yet.
No, Abramowitz did a great job because they played the ball back to Ivy Goodman, and Abramowitz put on pressure so that Goodman had to just get it out of bounds. Now you got to throw on the far side, and it's actually going to be a kick on the far side. So here's the play that Waterford needs. It's a kick about 25 yards out. Greg will take it, high, arcing, far post, and just sails high. And I got to ask, the wind, that's what we talked about, wind at their back. That's that little bit of extra that I think just sent it high.
Yeah, sent it high and sent it a little bit over the post there. If that ball, without wind, that ball might settle actually just inside the 6 or just outside the 6. Potentially not over that back frame there, out of bounds. But I was watching Bryn Dickinson on this outside here. Thought maybe that ball, because of the wind, would have gotten to her, but once again, a little bit too much behind it, and it went out of bounds.
Well, we're under a minute. Dickinson will throw it in. Waterford's going to have to put on a last bit of pressure. And now you're going to watch Stonington just churn, and every chance they get to bang this thing out, you're going to see that. And that's what we're seeing right now. Clock ticking down, under 30 seconds remaining. And Stonington is going to take their time. This is where I don't really like the ball there. Let me put it down a couple feet away and let me get myself set until the official says, hurry up. That's a nice play. Soft play to Sabadini. Sabadini so wisely switches the field.
And most players right there.
And Gregory couldn't get there first. And it was heads up play. Constantine shoots it, just hooks it left. But 3, 2, 1, and there it is. Congratulations to the Stonington High School girls field hockey team and the Stonington High School girls soccer team. A sweep tonight in the finals here at Stonington High School. A 1-0 win for the Stonington High School girls. We, of course, if you just joined us, tomorrow's game, Stonington and Ledyard boys, has been canceled. I would suggest checking with The Day tomorrow, theday.com, for further details about that. But for tonight, you want to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameDayCT. You can see the Sports Doctor's interview with the Waterford Dental Health Player of the Game, and, of course, the Smile Start Here, the Waterford Dental Health Play of the Game. Congratulations to the Stonington Bears for that win. Colin, I can't thank you enough for joining us for all the soccer this year. It's been an absolute pleasure. The Sports Doctor down on midfield. You got anything for me, Sports Doctor?
No, I just wanted to say thanks to the coach for sitting in, and it's been a very, very challenging year, not only on game day, but on high school sports in general. And I got the word from the Stonington AD that tomorrow night's game has been canceled. So, I think when we talk to these kids, Casey, Coach, you'll see it too, is they're grateful. They're grateful they had a chance to play and grateful to be part of game day, and everybody who sat in as guests this year and announcers from last night to tonight. So it's been a challenging year, but we pulled it off. So just want to, give credit to everybody involved, especially camera crew and Peter Wappy. They did a good job this year.
Absolutely, Sports Doctor. Colin, thanks so much for being with us. And I want to thank Carlos and who else we got there? Connor and Peter. Thank you guys so much for all the work. Eric as well, thank you for the Sports Doctor. It's been a special season just because we've had a chance to play. And I don't know what the winter's going to hold. I don't know what it's going to hold for sports. I don't know what it's going to hold for, for quarantines and for lockdowns. And we're gonna go and see what happens. But I think what we've proven here is that there's hope in the spring. There's hope that we can, as soon as the weather breaks, they've found a way to do it. So I'm looking forward to spring sports. Hopefully the winter will be able to hold some as well. But what I know is that, these administrators across, and you are one of them, these administrators across the ECC have worked feverishly in order to try to make these games happen, and they've put together a pretty cool slate. So congratulations to all the teams here in the finals, and next time we do soccer, we're going to have you right here next to me again.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate to be a part of it, Casey. I appreciate you guys reaching out all the time, and I love being a part of the crew. Definitely, without being cliche, I know we have winners and losers here, but really to be able to play games this season is a huge accomplishment and a credit to these administrators, these athletic directors. And I know these players would have not had it any other way.
Well, I don't care what Allison says. You did a great job. You didn't. There's no chest and checkers, and get on your horse. I don't care. You did a fabulous job. For the sports doctor, Keith O'Brien, for Peter Wappy, and all of the crew, and for Colin Delaney, I am Casey O'Neill, and I say I can't thank you all enough for watching us. You've been watching Game Day live on theday.com.